Everything began to fall apart. After her major awards, the films that followed failed badly at the box office and lost millions of dollars. At the same time, her body was quietly fighting serious health problems that she kept hidden from the public. The same industry that once celebrated her with 2 golden statues suddenly seemed unsure of what to do with her anymore. People began asking how someone who once appeared so powerful and unstoppable could fade so quickly from the spotlight. The truth behind it all is far more complex than simple career choices. It involves long hospital stays, insurance claims that were denied when she needed help the most, and a repeating pattern of struggle that few people noticed until much later. Hilary Swank was born on July 30, 1974, in Lincoln, Nebraska. Her early life was marked by constant movement, as her family searched for stability. Eventually, they settled in Bellingham, Washington. By the time she was 6 years old, she was living in a small trailer park near Lake Sammamish. Life there was not easy, and every day came with its own challenges. The trailer park was isolated from the city, and the financial struggles inside her home were visible to others. Hilary later spoke openly about learning the pain of classism at a very young age. When other parents at school found out she lived in a trailer, they began pulling their children away from her. Birthday invitations stopped coming. Playdates disappeared without explanation. She slowly realized that people were judging her value based solely on where she lived. This realization left a deep mark on her. She learned early that society often draws invisible lines between people, deciding who belongs and who does not. Those experiences made her more aware and sensitive to the quiet ways people exclude others. As a child, she turned inward. She watched classmates attend parties and family dinners while she stayed behind, pretending it did not hurt. By the age of 7, she fully understood that her home made her an outsider. The loneliness cut deeply, but it also sparked something inside her that would later shape her entire life. She found comfort in books and movies because they never judged her. Stories welcomed her when people did not. She became absorbed in characters who endured pain and found their way out of darkness. Each book she opened and every movie she watched made her feel closer to the person she hoped to become. That escape became her emotional fuel. It lifted her above the hurt and gave her a sense of purpose even when her world felt small and unfair. Life at home was also tense. Her parents, Stephen and Judy, struggled constantly with money. No matter how many jobs her father took, the bills never seemed to ease. Arguments became common, and the pressure in the house grew heavier each year. By the time Hilary was 15, her parents' marriage had fallen apart. The divorce forced her and her mother to make a difficult decision. In 1990, they left Washington with only $75 and one gas station credit card. They had no safety net, no savings, and no clear plan, just a shared dream and a deep trust in each other. When they arrived in Los Angeles, reality hit hard. Their car became their first home. For weeks, they slept inside it while Judy searched for work and Hilary attended auditions. She showered in public restrooms and showed up to casting calls in borrowed clothes, trying to hide her embarrassment. She understood how fragile their situation was, yet she kept going because she believed her future depended on it. Acting was no longer just an escape. It had become her calling. She had always seen parts of herself in the characters she admired. Stories made her feel less alone, and because of that, she wanted to become part of them. Her passion for acting grew stronger with each passing day and became the one stable thing she could hold on to while everything else felt uncertain. Theater became her safe place. Back in Bellingham, the local theater community had welcomed her without judgment. She joined the Bellingham Theater Guild and performed in school and community productions. At 9 years old, she played Mowgli in The Jungle Book, and the experience changed her. The applause, the lights, and the energy gave her a sense of belonging she had never felt before. By 15, she knew she had to take a bigger risk. She dropped out of high school after her sophomore year and moved to Los Angeles with her mother. It was not a carefully planned move but a desperate leap of faith. They packed everything they owned into an Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme and drove across the country, knowing that turning back would mean giving up on her dream. Along the way, the car was both transportation and shelter. They slept at rest stops and on quiet city streets. Some nights were frightening, while others felt strangely freeing. They had no contacts, no connections, and no guarantee of success. Every day brought a new challenge. They washed up in public bathrooms and tried to look presentable for auditions even when exhaustion weighed them down. Occasionally, they slept on an air mattress in an empty house offered by new acquaintances. Those rare nights under a roof felt like miracles. After a month, things slowly began to change. Judy found a secretarial job, and they were able to rent a small room from a single mother in Burbank. It was not true stability, but it was a starting point. Hilary soon began booking small television roles. The pay was low, but each job reminded her that progress was possible. She learned to appreciate every small comfort because she knew what it felt like to have nothing. Gratitude took root in her during those years. She never forgot the nights spent sleeping in the car or the hunger she tried to ignore. Those experiences shaped her resilience and grounded her no matter how far she would later rise. She often credited her mother for carrying her through the darkest moments and pushing her forward when her confidence faltered. Even as she found her footing, rejection remained constant. At 16, they were still struggling when they began searching for agents, making calls from pay phones because they could not afford anything else. Eventually, Judy secured a meeting with Bonnie Liddy, an agent known for discovering Leonardo DiCaprio. Signing with her brought renewed hope, but Hollywood remained unforgiving. Hilary auditioned repeatedly, only to lose roles to actors who were already famous. She accepted tiny, often uncredited parts just to survive. She learned that success in Hollywood often came from holding tightly to small victories. Her first notable film role came in 1992 with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where she played a minor character. The movie performed modestly, earning over $14 million domestically. Critics were mixed, and while it did not change her career, it placed her in a world that would later become iconic. Around the same time, she appeared on popular television shows, taking small roles that kept her working but did not bring recognition. From 1992 to 1993, she had a recurring role on Camp Wilder, which gave her steady work and experience. In 1994, she landed a lead role in the next Karate Kid. On paper, the film looked like a guaranteed success, but audiences did not respond as expected. It became the lowest-grossing film in the franchise, and critics were unimpressed. While some praised Hilary's performance, the movie's failure slowed her momentum. She later reflected that the experience taught her to be more selective with roles. Throughout the late 1990s, she appeared in small films that went largely unnoticed. None helped her career, but each taught her valuable lessons about the kind of work she wanted to pursue. In 1998, she joined Beverly Hills 90210, believing she had finally found stability. She signed on for what she was told would be a 2-year role, but after only 16 episodes, her character was written out. The decision crushed her. She questioned her talent and even considered leaving acting altogether. Later, people involved with the show explained that the failure was not hers. The writing had not supported her character, and viewers never had a chance to connect. Still, the experience left her doubting herself. Then, only 2 months later, everything changed. She auditioned for Boys Don't Cry, and the role transformed her life. Preparing for the film demanded everything she had. She cut and dyed her hair, lived as a man for weeks, altered her voice, studied movement, and immersed herself in Brandon Tina's world. The transformation was so intense that she feared losing herself completely. When the film premiered in 1999, critics were stunned. Her performance was widely praised as one of the most powerful of the year. Audiences forgot they were watching an actress. She had disappeared entirely into the role. That moment changed everything. What once seemed like failure and rejection suddenly made sense. Every closed door had pushed her toward the role that defined her career and reshaped Hollywood's expectations forever. At the 72nd Academy Awards in 2000, Hilary Swank won the Oscar for Best Actress. When her name was announced, the entire room was shocked. Almost everyone believed Annette Bening would win after she had dominated the awards season, taking home both the BAFTA and the Screen Actors Guild Awards for her role in American Beauty, which was also named Best Picture that year. Hilary was still seen as a newcomer, an actress with only one major breakout role and a past that included a failed television storyline. No one expected her to walk away with Hollywood's highest honor. Her victory immediately became one of the biggest Oscar surprises in history. People praised her transformation, her dedication, and the emotional honesty she brought to the role of Brandontina. Overnight, she entered a new chapter of her life that once felt completely out of reach. But that unforgettable night carried pain along with triumph. On March 26, 2000, when Hilary stepped onto the stage to accept her award, she was overwhelmed and rushed. She had only 30 seconds to speak. In that brief moment, she thanked her parents, her manager, her co-stars, and the producers who supported the film. In the chaos, she forgot to thank her husband, Chad Lowe, the person who had stood beside her through every struggle and even moved with her to Omaha during filming. The realization hit her the moment she left the stage. Chad saw the panic on her face as it dawned on her what she had done. Cameras caught the moment, and the story spread quickly across Hollywood. Instead of focusing on her historic win, headlines centered on the forgotten thank you. What should have been a celebration turned into a painful public moment. The ride home after the Oscars felt long and heavy. Chad tried to reassure her before she could even speak. He told her he did not need public recognition because she had always shown her gratitude in private. He was not angry or offended, but he could see how deeply the mistake hurt her. Hilary apologized again and again, wishing she could rewind time. Chad later shared that he felt more sympathy for her than anything else and wanted to shield her from the pressure. Still, the media refused to let the moment go. The constant attention added strain to their marriage, and over time it became one of many factors that led to their divorce in 2007. Instead of being remembered only for her performance, Hilary carried the embarrassment with her for years. It became a painful lesson in how fame can twist a single moment into something far bigger than it ever should have been. After her Oscar win, Hilary threw herself into her work with intense focus. When she prepared for Million Dollar Baby, she trained like she had something to prove. Every morning, she walked into Gleason's gym in New York, a legendary place where boxing greats like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson had trained. She pushed herself for nearly 5 hours a day. Her routine began with more than 2 hours of boxing, jumping rope, hitting the heavy bag, and drilling footwork until her body ached. She then moved on to intense weight training, doing push-ups, pull-ups, and even pushing her own SUV across a parking lot to build strength. Her diet matched the intensity of her training. She ate nearly 4,000 calories a day, consumed over 200 grams of protein, and ate dozens of egg whites daily. Her body transformed completely as her weight increased from a slim 108 pounds to a powerful 131. At one point, she developed a serious staph infection from blisters on her feet, but she hid it because she did not want to break the rhythm she had worked so hard to build. Her trainer later said she looked like a sculpted statue by the end of the process, but by then she was fully living inside the character of Maggie Fitzgerald. All that effort led her to the 2005 Academy Awards. On February 27, inside the Kodak Theater in Los Angeles, Hilary won her second Best Actress Oscar. She became the first woman of the 21st century to achieve that honor, and she was only 30 years old. Her name joined a legendary list that included actresses most performers only dream of standing beside. On stage, she thanked her fellow nominees and then turned to her husband, calling him her everything. It sounded like a perfect moment, but behind the scenes, her personal life was already beginning to crack. Hilary and Chad had been together since 1997 and had survived the pressure of her early career. But just 1 year after her second Oscar win, they separated in January 2006. By May, their divorce was public. Later, Hilary spoke honestly about the pain she carried, revealing how deeply she struggled with Chad's substance abuse and how hard she tried to keep their marriage together. Chad admitted he was never jealous of her success, but he had lost momentum in his own career, and the imbalance created a weight neither of them could escape. Fans were shocked because the couple appeared inseparable. In reality, her greatest professional achievements had unfolded alongside her most painful personal moments. That pattern followed her repeatedly, with every major career peak shadowed by personal loss. After Million Dollar Baby, her marriage ended completely. She later said she explored every possible path to save it, but nothing healed the deeper wounds. While she accepted awards in front of millions, she battled heartbreak privately. The contrast only became sharper as her career continued. Her next major film was The Black Dahlia in 2006. Expectations were high because she was coming off 2 Oscar wins. The film had a $50 million budget and opened strongly, but it quickly fell apart. Critics said it looked beautiful but lacked emotional depth, and audiences struggled to connect with her character. The film's poor performance became another disappointment. Earlier, The Core had shown a similar pattern. Despite its massive budget, it failed to impress critics or audiences. Her role as a scientist did not resonate, and the film became an example of how expensive productions could still fail without a strong story. In 2009, Amelia followed the same path. With a respected director and well-known co-stars, the film seemed promising. Instead, it opened weakly and faded quickly. Critics called it dull and predictable, and audiences left without feeling moved. Even films that performed moderately well could not escape the criticism that followed her during this period. Hollywood slowly began to box her into a narrow category. Winning 2 Oscars made her a prestige actress, but it also limited the kinds of roles she was offered. She spoke openly about how confusing it became to navigate the industry. Her attempts to branch into different genres often failed, and she felt the industry had already decided where she belonged. Despite her wide range, she kept hitting the same wall. While her career faced uncertainty, her body was fighting battles she kept private for years. For over a decade, she dealt with ovarian cysts and endometriosis, conditions that caused constant pain, fatigue, and discomfort. In 2008, she underwent emergency surgery to remove 1 ovary after a cyst became dangerous. Her remaining ovary continued developing cysts, requiring constant monitoring. In 2019, she was officially diagnosed with endometriosis, which brought more pain and complications. Treatments did not work, and her fertility was affected. She continued working through the pain, keeping it hidden from the public. Eventually, her insurance company denied coverage for treatments she needed to prevent further health risks. In 2020, she filed a lawsuit against the SAG-AFTRA health plan, explaining that her claims were unfairly labeled as infertility-related even though they were meant to prevent serious illness. She spoke out not just for herself, but for women everywhere who felt their health concerns were dismissed. Her voice resonated widely, and many supported her courage. Her personal life shifted again in 2018 when she met Philip Schneider on a blind date. They spent nearly the entire day together, surprised by how natural the connection felt. After years of heartbreak, the ease of that relationship felt like a gift. They married quietly, and she described it as love she never expected to find again. Motherhood arrived later in her life but brought deep joy. In 2022, she announced she was expecting twins, using eggs she had frozen years earlier. In April 2023, she gave birth to her twins at 48 years old. The pregnancy was high risk, but both babies arrived healthy. She described the journey as long and challenging but filled with gratitude. Loss returned again in 2025 when her rescue dog passed away unexpectedly. She shared her grief openly, honoring the dog who had been with her through so many changes. Later that year, she faced public scrutiny once more after a misunderstanding at an airport involving her children. When the truth came out, she apologized sincerely, and the situation ended with mutual understanding. Hilary Swank's life has been shaped by extremes. Incredible success has often walked side by side with deep personal pain. Her story is a reminder that behind public triumphs are private battles, and even the brightest moments can carry heavy shadows.